All right. Hi, everybody. Hope you're having a good day. My name is Ellen Pensky, and on behalf of Packet Fusion, I want to welcome you to today's Lunch and Learn. It's part of our series of helping you see clearly in 2020. And I know many of you have attended our monthly events. We recognize some of those names, but we really appreciate your interest. And today's topic is especially interesting. We know that because we have a record number of attendees. So we're very glad you're here. We're talking about the contact center of the future, and we're delighted to have our experts from Genesys, who is our sponsor, here to share their vision and to talk about their alliance with Zoom and various other integrations and what that means for you. So today's presentation will be about 45 to 50 minutes. There'll be time for questions at the end. And because we do have a large audience, we will be muting the phones. So if you want to ask a question, you can type it in the chat box, or questions box actually would even be better. But and more importantly, we're recording today's session, so we'll make it available to you. And now I'd like to introduce our speakers. First up is Packet Fusion CEO, Matt Pingatore. He tells me he has 30 plus years of experience in the telecom industry. And he's also acknowledged as an industry leader with a wealth of knowledge and experience about getting to the cloud. And also joining us today from Genesys are James Hvezda. And James is the Director of Strategic Alliances, and Trey Buck is the Senior Product Manager for Genesys Cloud Unified Communications. A little bit about both of them. James is an industry veteran. He's acknowledged for his vision. He's been with Genesys for about 6 years, and he's been in his current role for about a year. He's held a number of sales and product management roles with Genesys, as well as other marketing roles with several other companies. But he definitely knows his way around the contact center industry. And Trey has been in his role at Genesys for about 2 years. He's known as a dynamic, technical, metrics-driven product management leader, and he has about a decade of experience growing SaaS and cloud-based solutions for companies of all sizes. He has a track record of building products that people love. So we've got a great group of speakers here, and we're all set for a great session. So go ahead and take it away, Matt.
Thanks, Ellen. Lots of familiar faces, as we said. Appreciate it. About half of you are existing customers. Thanks for attending these. We really appreciate it. The other half, I don't know you guys, but rest assured, we'd love to get to know you guys. We have these once a month, once every other, 2 a month of different topics. This one's very exciting to me because Genesys is, we're big fans of what they're doing. We're a Genesys Gold partner. We've got 40, 50 customers. Got one of their largest implementations in the cloud, 2,200 agents. So we're doing some really cool things with Genesys today. The other part of this today we're going to be talking about is Zoom. We're doing crazy things with Zoom. We got one customer with about 20,000 lines on them, a bunch of other customers with several thousand lines. So they're a worldwide player. And what we're seeing in the industry today is no one has the perfect contact center and UCaaS phone system, if you will, blend. And we all realize that. And Genesys, while they have their own UCaaS, which we're going to get into in a second, they realize they need to partner with the best of breed. And we have the integration today at Packet Fusion with our Genesys contact center and our Zoom UCaaS, doing some integration there. And we're going to talk about that today and what's going on with that. But we couldn't be more excited with what Genesys's futures hold for them. One of my favorite parts about just the where they got their start is, obviously from the premise-based world, because that's before cloud, there was premise. And they started from scratch, a new product in the cloud. They didn't port their old product and try to make it cloudinized, if that's a word. They basically started from scratch with cloud-based technology, cloud-based code in AWS, distributed across the planet. And we now have basic feature parity from what they were, and much more from what they were doing before on the premise-based stuff. So we're big fans of what they're doing. Genesys, I think, James, you're going to take it from here, and I'm going to just kind of add color as we go. So take it away, James.
Perfect. Thank you, Matt. And thanks, Ellen, for the introduction there. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what are the challenges for the contact center of the future, share some customer insights, some of the research that we've done with customers about their experience in the contact center, what that might mean for the contact center, and particularly what it means for agents. and then wind up here with power of the partnership, our partnership between Zoom and Genesys, and then we'll hand it over to Trey to really get in under the covers here on that integration. So I think it wouldn't be a tech presentation without some kind of analyst reference, but I'm going to give credit here to Forrester for articulating what I think is really the core challenge that we're seeing in customer service and that companies need to overcome. And that is really this idea of a sustained human connection. I think automation and AI certainly are making great strides in how we scale, but how do you scale and maintain a human connection is really a really hard challenge. And in the way that Forrester described it as a pivot to reorientate operations around the customer, I think it's a very astute way to describe that. And of course, then it comes down to execution and how do you operationalize that view? And part of that is what we're really going to be talking about later today in terms of coming together with this partnership and taking steps in that direction to bring a best of breed technology into an experience. And we all know the risks of not delivering on customer service, right? Customers will leave, they will stop transacting with you, they will stay longer when the experience is great. But also, you know, the reality is a lot of most of the time we are not meeting the expectations that customers have. And so why is it? Why is it so hard? That wasn't automation and AI is supposed to solve everything for us? And my thesis on this is yes, and we've already seen great strides and we'll continue to see AI develop, I would say exponentially. But there is a but here. I'm going to talk a little bit about the but in a second. Now, I spent a lot of time last year interviewing customers about their experience, customer service experience with contact center agents, interviewed over 60 people. And, you know, one reality here is that we've really turned the corner in terms of self-service. This, you know, people are used to self-service. We are going to Google, we are going to FAQ, maybe we're talking to a bot. So that is part of the reality. But there is another piece here, and that is that there is a type of interaction or a moment in the journey when the when the switch flips and we really want to talk to somebody. And that's that moment that becomes extremely meaningful for the agent. You know, once we've made that decision to talk to a human, we want somebody who is going to solve our problem quickly, who can do it with a smile, and really who gets us. And the reality is, I'm going to talk about this in a second, that's not one person. One person can't get that right. They need a team of people to support them. So we can think about the future of the agent along this kind of, the kinds of interactions along this kind of dimension of increasingly emotional issues and also complex issues. And we can slice this and apply the 80-20 rule and say, look, if 80% of all the simple stuff that the mundane stuff gets automated away, what are we left with? We're left with a set of issues that the agents, that the people are going to have to deal with that are increasingly complex, increasingly emotionally charged. And they're going to need help. They're going to need AI to coach and prompt them in these situations, but they're also going to be able to need to pull in subject matter experts really quickly. And we can have a little bit of fun with this, right? So if Marty had pushed the OnStar button and, you know, the call center agent answers this call, well, they need to be a nuclear physicist to help fix the flex capacitor. They need to be a psychotherapist to help Marty with his trauma. And then I don't know what they're going to do with the doc, but clearly, you know, this isn't one person. Again, this is a team of people that need to be able to, in the moment, come together and deliver a really great experience. Okay, so let me wind it down and talk more concretely a little bit about our partnership with Zoom here and specifically our sort of vision of the contact center. So, you know, we like to imagine the contact center of the future as a place where your front and your back office employees can meet, collaborate, and communicate with the best and most innovative tools, and that's done seamlessly to create a powerful and frictionless experience. And we think about this in the context of Zoom and Genesys. You know, Zoom has really redefined video first experiences. Eric Yuan started as an engineer at WebEx, had a great career there. He was VP of engineering, but he left that company because he really wanted to build something great from the ground up. He's been very successful with that. And not only that, they have a powerful set of market-leading UC and collaboration tools. Now, on the Genesys side, we are the leader in the contact center. We're also defining a new category of experience as a service. So when you put them together, it really goes back to what I said earlier, which is we're powering the future of work, where you have this seamless collaboration. We're delivering on experience as a service, and we're delivering powerful and frictionless experiences. And I think that's what really makes this so compelling, and why I'm so excited today to have Trey walk you through the path that we've started now and really show you how we're operationalizing this view. So I am going to stop sharing, and Trey, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, James. Let me get my slide started.
Maybe Trey, I don't know if you're going to start with this, or maybe James, one of you guys can elaborate on it. I love the concept of where you're doing that. What everything you just said there is spot on. But you guys realize that it's not just Zoom that you're doing this. Zoom happens to be the first partner, and you're further along than anybody else, but you definitely have plans and are in the process of doing others. Maybe Trey or James, you can spend 30 seconds on that before we even get started.
Yeah, I'll actually take us through a little bit of the higher level UC strategy for Genesys Cloud, and I'll cover exactly what you just referenced.
Good.
Here in a couple of slides, and then I'll do a deeper dive into Zoom as well.
Killer.
So let's talk a little bit about the overall strategy, excuse me. There we go. So Genesys Cloud is really an all-in-one solution, and we have obviously the UC capabilities, but we're primarily a contact center platform, and we also have the telephony components as well. And between those three sort of triangles, they all tie together really nicely into our overall platform and the way that we sort of approach the solution that we're offering to the market, and all of the cloud benefits, and ultimately the ease of deployment that we provide to our customers. But we know that collaboration and communication are becoming ever more embedded into the business profile of our customers, not just the contact center portion of their business. So we are offering our native feature set, but for those customers that want something above and beyond what we offer natively, we're rolling out integrations with the other best of breed unified communication services out there. So Microsoft Teams has already been made available. That was in mid-October. We're working very hard to deliver integrations with Zoom, which we're obviously here to talk about as well. And those integrations will continue to expand over time and increase in the number of use cases and the overall footprint, and really the overlap between the two products that we offer.
And I love that. Go back to that one. And
Sure.
The real concept here is Zoom and Microsoft are never going to get in the contact center business. They can't, right? Maybe down the road. So they have to partner. And I think Genesys realizes that their contact center is a 10 out of 10, but their UCaaS and their collaboration is a 6, 7, 8 out of 10, where the other guys are more 10 out of 10. And that's what people are going to, and adding the contact center to their UCaaS. So it's a great relationship. It's a great story all the way around.
Yeah, I think it's right. I think it depends on where you draw the lines around what unified communications and collaboration. Even the term UCC to some degree is becoming a little bit dated as we move more towards Web 2.0 technologies, and people become more comfortable with, video rather than sort of phones on desks, right? So the world is adapting and moving very quickly. And certainly for some customers, our holistic offering is great. But if you need robust document management and you need the ability to have access to Excel and Word and some of the other productivity tools, obviously you're going to want those things to be tied deeply with all of your platforms, and that's really what we're striving for here.
Yeah.
So that's on the collaboration side. On the communication side, we are also integrating with these partners, but we're doing it from the perspective of treating them as third-party PBX systems. So the world of telephony is still being merged into unified communications, the new world of unified communications with video and chat and all of those things. So we've got a little bit of a different approach depending on which use cases you're most interested in, and I'll talk about that as we get deeper into Zoom. But these partners are not sort of one-trick ponies, right? There are multiple ways that you can integrate these tools into Genesys Cloud to accomplish the goals that you're looking to accomplish. And then on the telephony side, we have our BYOC capability set, which is also being leveraged for the Teams and Zoom tools, but you can use any carrier that you want to, including Genesys Cloud Voice, right? So we put all these things together, and I'll go back to the first slide here just to put the triangle back together. And you get really our overall platform offering and a good representation of our approach when it comes to sort of unified communications and collaboration writ large. So let's talk specifically about Zoom and what we're building. So the first thing I'll note is that we want to take a step back from the individual integrations and exactly what they do. I'll go through those here in just a minute. But really what this is about is making customer support a team sport, right? Finding the experts you need, knowing that they're available, and being able to connect with them both internally and connecting customers through to those experts so that you can get resolution to customer problems as quickly as possible across multiple platforms, right? Boosting resolution rates and overall customer satisfaction. So within that purview, there are really two integrations that we're starting with Zoom. The first I'll talk about is Zoom meetings. And this is often what most people think of when they think of Zoom. In fact, it's the tool that we're using right now to host this webinar, right? Is the video capability set that has really catapulted Zoom to the top of the world at this point. And obviously they're doing very well. So when we say Zoom, this is the tool and product that most people think about. And remember that this tool is primarily meant for collaboration and internal, maybe a little bit of external communication like webinars, but the world of sort of video for end customers on the fly is still very much evolving. And so we're starting with Zoom meetings integration, Zoom video integration for UC purposes specifically. So what we're building is the ability for a Genesys Cloud user to jump in a Zoom meeting right within Genesys Cloud. This can enable your agents to collaborate with other experts within the company really easily, and it brings Zoom's tools directly into our interface so that you don't have to manage multiple applications. And it really is as simple as typing in one command and jumping into a Zoom call. You can obviously do all of the things with Zoom's meetings and video capability that you can do with their native apps. You can do inside of our platform as well. So being able to share your screen, record, have chat within that user interface, and then ultimately being able to give the agents the ability to share their knowledge and insight, get knowledge and insight from their colleagues in the back office who are really the experts on what they're trying to accomplish for the customer. So what does it mean very specifically? We're talking about Zoom video embedded within Genesys Cloud, collaborate, including video and chat features. You will be able to join a user's Zoom meeting room directly within Genesys Cloud from either one-to-one, collaborate, chat, or from the video dropdown off of either the user's profile or the other locations that we offer internal video collaboration within Genesys Cloud. You can also easily type /Zoom. You will get a new meeting created. That meeting link will be automatically posted into the chat. So for any of you who are familiar with Genesys Cloud, we have other / commands. We do things like /Giphy, so you can post GIFs if you want to. And this is another iteration of that capability set. So typing in /Zoom will create a new meeting on the fly and post that meeting link into the chat room that you're in so that anyone in that room can quickly join in. So, okay, this is a little bit duplicative. So again, Zoom meetings is really the tool that most people are familiar with when they think of Zoom. And obviously Zoom has been extremely successful with this product, which is why we're focusing on integration. Our video solution is adequate, but to say that Genesys is going to compete with Zoom on the video front just isn't really realistic, right? And that's why we're going down the path of integrating rather than directly competing. So how does it work? The Genesys Cloud admin will install the Zoom meetings integration from our app Foundry, where all of our integrations exist. The Genesys Cloud users will then log into Zoom via the external app section. It's over on the left-hand nav, and there's a sort of 4 bubble icons that represent the place where we typically will show other external integrations. And then once logged into Zoom, other Genesys Cloud users will be able to join posted Zoom meeting rooms directly within our Genesys Cloud Collaborate user experience. From a high-level architecture design, and there's a reason I'm showing this slide because I'll have a very similar slide when I get to Zoom Phone, which is really more of a PBX integration. But this is pretty straightforward. We've got a custom app within our application. We've got our public APIs, and then we've got a microservice behind the scenes that all work in tandem together to be able to send and retrieve requests from Zoom's public APIs, including authentication and the Zoom user's meeting ID. We'll also retrieve presence and other relevant user information over time. I'll talk about that with Phone here in a minute. But the goal here is to use both platforms' publicly available APIs and obviously have your users log into the specific tenants that they are licensed for with either platform, right? So they'll only be able to log into your Zoom account on the Zoom side and vice versa on the Genesys Cloud side. So what's it going to look like? So again, this is a couple of screenshots of what I had been describing about the Zoom video platform being embedded directly within Genesys Cloud. On the right-hand side, you see the actual Zoom UX as displayed in Genesys Cloud. You can see the frame of Genesys Cloud around the outside. And then the same Zoom tool that you are used to using, if you're anything like me, on a regular daily basis, embedded within the platform. And then leaving the meeting will put you right back into Genesys Cloud's UI. And then on the left-hand side is just the /Zoom command, and then showing the embedded instant meeting that is created when you type /Zoom. So easy to click, easy to join. Even for users that don't have the Zoom integration turned on for them, if for whatever reason you don't want some of your users to have this integration where it launches directly inside of Genesys Cloud, the Zoom meeting link is still a valid URL. So it will do the same thing that any other URL will do, and it will launch to the web browser, which should automatically pop open the Zoom client. So the ability
There's a couple questions right here, Trey, maybe you can just jump in. And I'd love to hear it too, is this meant for the agent talking to the customer, or is this the agent talking to somebody internally? Where is this interaction meant to solve? What business case?
Yeah, right now it's the latter, right? So the idea is either agent to back office communication, or in theory, if you have all of your users operating in Genesys Cloud, you could have back office to back office communication. We don't currently offer video as a channel. I'll use air quotes here in Genesys Cloud. So certainly we want to work towards that direction so that agents can use video with individual customers on the other side out in the public in the wild. But we need to build the framework for those interaction types first, and then we'll be able to plug in third-party video providers. Certainly we'd start with Zoom, but there are lots of them out there at this point.
So on the roadmap, conceptual roadmap, and somewhere you want to get is adding video as a channel.
That's correct. Yeah. But there are lots of open questions there that we need to solve before we can.
Just trying to solve this guy's needs in this question right here is couldn't you launch the Zoom meeting and just invite the person to the meeting? It's not integrated, but you're doing it through Zoom. You've launched Zoom, you invite the person to it, they click accept, and now you're, swivel chair mechanics on a video call.
Certainly possible. The downside of that approach would be that we Genesys Cloud do not know anything about what happens inside of that video session. Right. So, the typical interaction metrics that you would expect from a true contact center platform wouldn't be available for those video sessions, but certainly you could do that.
Got it.
Things like recordings, quality of service, time on call, interaction time, those sorts of things, just there's not that level of connectivity yet between the platforms.
Yeah, totally get it.
Okay. So again, just to reiterate, and it's a great question, thank you for bringing it up. Who is the Zoom integrations who is the Zoom meetings integration? I say integrations a lot in these.
I must have seen the slide already.
Yeah. Who will use this? And it is for ad hoc collaboration between Genesys Cloud Collaborate business users, but it's not intended for agents or video-based interactions at this time. Your agents can use it to talk to the business users as needed, but it's not for the contact center side of the business yet. Oops. Who's going to benefit most from this? So obviously anyone who's already using Zoom meetings for collaboration within their company. Anyone who's not quite satisfied with what we offer, there are some gaps with our native video tool. We're obviously hoping to close those. But again, we're not trying to compete with Zoom directly. That's just not our primary business. We've got, our core competencies, if you want to use the MBA terms, but certainly we want to focus on being able to provide our customers with choice and flexibility when it comes to the tools that they want to use to help their business run. Anybody who's aligning their organizational initiatives to cloud-based solutions, right? This is really the biggest sort of driver that we see both with Genesys Cloud writ large, but it also in terms of the interest in the integration with Zoom is I'm getting off of Avaya, I'm getting off of Cisco, I'm moving all my users to cloud-based platforms. And I want to know who you integrate with, right? So that's what's really driving the strategy behind the scenes. And then ultimately, people who want the best of breed, best in class products for their needs. Okay, deep breath. Let's, I'm gonna ask you to take everything I just said about Zoom meetings and put it to the side for now. And we'll come back and tie it all together here at the end. And now I want to talk about Zoom Phone. So I'm actually going to jump forward here. I should have put these in a little bit better order. Zoom Phone, what is it? So as well as Zoom has done in the video space, they have conquered a lot of that ground. They've run up that hill and are now effectively the world's leading video provider. They are now moving into the world of telephony and really front office capabilities, mostly around, basic call and telephony functionality. They're not planning to become a contact center, right? That's certainly not in the purview of what Zoom wants to do. But if you're already using Zoom meetings, they now make it very easy for you to purchase PSTN connectivity as well as basically a cloud-based PBX system. And that's effectively what Zoom Phone is. So it does have some sort of very light contact center type functionality. There is not the depth and breadth of Genesys Cloud by any means, but you can use this as effectively, again, a cloud PBX system, and they have many of the capabilities that you would come to expect from a modern PBX system today. So Zoom Phone is an add-on for the standard Zoom and Zoom Video, Zoom Meetings licenses, relatively inexpensive as well, and we see a lot of customers who choose Zoom Phone, if only because it creates a basically single contract for, or reduces the number of vendors that they have to go through.
And maybe I'll jump in. We've been selling a ton of it lately. They finally let us into the channel program about a year ago, and we're moving a lot of our customers there. Their international is pretty much better than anybody's out there. Just the number of countries they support. Their integration into their client, integration into the mobility app, integration into their meetings app, the basic PBX features. We've had 2 or 3 deals where it was a make or break where they must have this one feature. Literally 2 weeks later in the next code for every user on the planet, that feature was developed. So they're really, really eager to get deals done, and they're very, very open to working with people. And we're big fans of what they're doing.
Yeah, and I'll also add it's a great product. Generally, that's once you do put the add-on on your account and assign it to the users, it basically is another option in the existing apps. So it's really easy to roll out to your users if they're already using it.
We did a 100-person cutover. They signed the contract that weekend. We got them up and going, and they were ready to go in less than a week. Not saying we want to do that for everybody. It was kind of a unique situation. Couldn't do that with any, can, but it's very difficult to do that with other providers. Just the way they've architected this with cloud in mind from the start. They're not taking this premise-based old school equipment that they're on their 3rd generation of and trying to make it cloud. They started in the cloud, kind of what Genesys did. So it's really easy for them to expand, integrate, open APIs, all that stuff. It's a lot of fun. Fun time right now.
Yeah, and I'll expand on a couple of those points here in just a minute. So what are we really building, right? We want to allow the expertise of your full team, all of your employees to be able to connect more easily to your contact center, right? So where Zoom meetings and video was about internal collaboration, we want to enable your contact center business and the customers on the other end to be able to get to your back office users when necessary to get the right information and drive customer resolution. So you can use Zoom Phone as your inbound carrier, for all of your internal calls. You can also use it for outbound for your business users. And then you can enable your agents to basically search directory, find the expert that they need in their organization, see if they're available, and then click to call rather than having to keep a separate list of external contacts or, phone numbers, DIDs somewhere else that they have to go reference. It's already all inside of Genesys Cloud, and they can use the native workflows that are already existing within our platform to move those interactions from the contact center to the back office users. So again, seamless calling between Genesys Cloud and Zoom Phone users in a powerfully integrated experience that uses our native workflows within the platform. So with Zoom Phone, there's really two parts. There's telephony and SIP integration, which enables calls to stay on net and not incur additional charges from the PSTN, so that when you send calls between the platforms, you're not being charged multiple times, multiple legs. But also leveraging our transfer, recordings, analytics, and the other robust contact center features, and really the sort of use cases that you come to expect from native calls coming into Genesys Cloud. Those extend to calls that we can transfer over to Zoom, right? And then on the other side of the integration is the API level integration, which allows us to do directory sync, contact info sync, and then presence lookup for the users that are on the Zoom platform. And then using both capability sets, we can transfer interactions between the two, as I described, and I'll show that.
So go back, I'm going to add to that. And so from Genesys, you can see Zoom presence because one of the questions is right here, it's pretty elaborate, but from the Zoom side, can you see the Genesys presence?
Yeah, not quite yet. One thing I should say is that we are very early with these integrations, and you can even see that we're in active development now. Looking to deliver by the end of the quarter. This first cut MVP level integration. We have a strong partnership with Zoom, as James discussed before I started into my section of the presentation, and we only expect that to grow. Right, we are the world's largest cloud contact center vendor, and Zoom is the world's largest cloud video and moving towards PBX provider. And so we only see more growth and improvement in the integration to start with, but really the use case that we're focusing on is enabling the contact center users to get the calls, the customer calls to the back office and knowledge experts as quickly and easily as possible. Going back the other direction is possible. We need to do more work with the Zoom team to enable sort of bi-directional presence between the two, but certainly work that we want to do. And there's a lot of potential improvements that we could go. Really, our goal here is to get this integration, this first cut of the integration out the door. We want to listen to our customers who are using the tools, and that'll help drive our future improvements. So I appreciate the feedback.
I love it. And continuing on that, on this SIP and the BYOC, I know, and it's not quite there today, but on the roadmap, you guys both have BYOC, because I'm doing it for both of our customers on Genesys and on Zoom are doing their own SIP carriers, basically at their colo level, and then piping it over to Genesys or Zoom. From what I understand, when Zoom and Genesys are linked together about what they're doing right now, and it might even be today, you can choose to have your telco come from the Zoom BYOC. So you could have inbound come in, Zoom BYOC, if you get better rates over there, or redundant path to Genesys BYOC. And I know it's not quite there yet, but then outbound from Genesys to Zoom out, that's coming, but pretty darn cool. I mean, not many people are allowing you guys to bring BYOC through another UCaaS provider. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I'll actually jump over to the next slide and give a sort of diagram here that is, again, very high level. There's a lot of detail behind this, but the top half represents the sort of left side of the previous slide that I was representing, and the SIP connectivity between them. I think the other thing to note here is that there's no intermediary SBCs. There's nobody in the middle between our integrations. And even beyond that, Zoom has done a great job building out the ability to create the SIP trunks between our platforms in a mostly automated fashion. So again, both being cloud software providers, cloud platform providers, what they effectively do is call our APIs from within their admin UI. So you don't necessarily have to be an expert to set up the trunks even between these platforms. You go in their UI, you select Genesys as your provider, and then they call our APIs and they do a majority of the SIP trunk setup on our side on your behalf. There's a few small steps that you need to complete just to make sure the connection's working as expected.
That's where the partner comes in.
Bingo, absolutely. Our great
That's
partner
us.
Packet Fusion can absolutely help you with that. I'll also mention that Packet Fusion's in our early access beta program, and looking forward to getting their feedback as well as we progress forward. So thank you very much for the forum to talk about it here. And then on the bottom half of the diagram here is just the API level integration for directory, contact, and presence information. So what's it going to look like? So here on the left, you have the users. And the one thing to note here is that we want to help agents identify who is on Genesys Cloud and who is on Zoom, right? And traditionally, we would have done this through other mechanisms or maybe through, again, separate lists maintained elsewhere. By having a unified directory, you can actually sync in the right information about the people on Zoom, right? More than just, their name and their phone number, but things like their department that they work in, what location are they in? There's a lot of flexibility when it comes to the directory sync capability set. And then we give them a Zoom logo. So very obvious and intentional representation of the user so that you know that this person is on the other platform, but you can still connect with them in the ways that you need to. And then in the call transfer workflow over on the right, there's a Zoom tab that you can search for, and then that's where you'll specifically see the presence of the user so that you know whether or not they're available right in that moment when you want to be able to transfer the call to them. That's when it's most important, is to know right at the time of transfer. So who's going to use this? Primarily agents who are accepting inbound voice interactions, right? So really hammering home that this is for contact center use cases. So agents can transfer voice interactions to back office users. We're going to sync the directory, but we really only expect agents to log into Genesys Cloud. So technically your back office users will have Genesys Cloud accounts, but we don't expect them to log in. We're not going to charge you for those users. We're not trying to double dip into on the UC side, right? What we really want is to enable your agents who log into Genesys Cloud to be able to accomplish their goals. Agents will need to go on and off queue, provide wrap-up codes, and generally interact with Genesys Cloud as they would normally, but your non-contact center users can operate entirely within Zoom and don't need to log into Genesys Cloud. It's also possible to set up Zoom Phone as a remote station in Genesys Cloud such that the agents can actually answer calls in the Zoom platform. Now, they will still need to do things like, again, go on and off queue and wrap-up codes in Genesys Cloud. But there are some circumstances I've talked with customers, early adopters about that, they might want to set up Zoom as the remote station depending on their business needs. So that's another option as well. So again, this is over here on the left, you can see some of the UI for what it looks like to select Genesys Cloud as your provider. It's easy to enter your API ID and secret, your key and secret here to connect the platforms together. And then on the right is the same representation of the user directory sync as I showed before. Okay, so we covered Zoom meetings, which is actually on the right in this example. And then we covered Zoom Phone. So Zoom Meetings is about video for back office users. Zoom Phone is about telephony and voice interactions for contact center users. What's it going to cost? So Zoom Phone is $5 per active Genesys Cloud user per month. And then our existing BYOC charges, which are pretty minimal. What that means, though, is that this is basically a $5 add-on on top of your agent licenses. And that's where I was trying to make the point earlier that even though we're creating accounts for all of the Zoom users, we're only going to price based on the people who actually log into our platform and use our platform. And then for Zoom meetings,
$5 is coming from Zoom or from Genesys?
That's from Genesys, right? Okay. So you're paying your Zoom Phone license for all of your back office users, and then your front office users are on the Genesys Cloud 1, 2, 3 licenses, plus the add-on. And then with Zoom meetings, we're actually going to offer it free at launch. We understand that, because it's only the back office users, the use there is, not really impacting the front of the house so much. And honestly, we want to get feedback on this, right, as we start to move towards what that, longer term goal of video as a channel is. So we want to get it out there and into people's hands so that they start using it. So we're going to.
So maybe you can walk me through this. So is this for a net new Zoom, non-Zoom user and you're putting in Zoom? What if an existing Zoom customer already has phone and they want to integrate it in with you?
Yeah, so in that case, it would just be the additional sort of $5 fee on our side to be able to install the integration. And then when you apply the correct permissions to those users, that's what our billing system kicks off as. So if you want to think of it in terms of what do you need from a prerequisite side, obviously you'll need Genesys Cloud and your agents there and the GC123 licenses. And then you'll need your Zoom platform and those users having the Zoom phone licenses. Once the permission is applied on our side, that will give those users in Genesys Cloud access to log into Zoom. And then we'll be able to make requests over to Zoom, API requests over to Zoom for the presence information for the users that aren't logged into our platform. Does that help?
Yeah.
So basically anybody that has the Zoom phone permission will be assigned the $5 per user per month fee that actually logs into our platform. So we're targeting both integrations available at the end of Q4. Our fiscal Q4 is end of January. We hope to get out before the end of the year. We may get there, but we're getting close with the holidays coming up. We might not get it before the end of December, but we're very close. As I mentioned, we've kicked off a beta. We're actually using Zoom meetings internally with Genesys right now. And Zoom Phone is very close to being installable for our early access customers, including Packet Fusion. So very, very close here. Just kind of polish up the last bits, make sure that we don't release with any major bugs that would cause customers problems. But very excited to be getting close to the end of the road here and getting this into the hands of customers. If you want to find out more information, we have tiles placement on our app Foundry. The app Foundry is the place to go for all the integrations for Genesys Cloud, and Zoom is no different. And you'll be able to see both Zoom Phone and Zoom Meetings out there. I think Zoom Meetings is already listed. We're creating the listing for Zoom Phone right now. I would note though that the app Foundry placement for Zoom Phone is just the API side. To initiate the SIP side, you need to do that on the Zoom admin UI. But we've got that fully documented in our help documentation. So it shouldn't be a problem there. I just want to call out specifically what you'll find where. So for both integrations, there's a Genesys app side and a Zoom app side. You'll need to install both to get them to pair up together.
One of the questions, I don't know if it's perfect timing here, but it's kind of germane earlier, is about the chat, right? You guys each have your own chat. I can't imagine federations happening maybe down the road. But what are you guys doing for that? Turn one off, turn the other one off. What are you doing?
Yeah, so it's really up to our customers. You're correct that we're not starting with chat federation. Again, we are very early days with this integration, and we're starting on the telephony side. If I'm honest, mostly because the integration standard is already there, right? SIP makes it very easy for us to send calls back and forth. There's not a SIP for chat necessarily. And not to say it's not possible, but it's just easy to rely on existing standards for telephony and to start there. Yes, we certainly want to integrate chat, and there's really two forms of chat, right? There is internal chat, and then there's external, customer, what we typically call web chat. The sort of prioritization in which of those is more important, from what I've heard so far, it's mostly about web chat, assuming that the business users are all operating on, Zoom as the UC platform broadly. That's just what the feedback we've gotten so far. That could change over time, but certainly something that
people are using Slack for the chat anyways. I mean, Zoom
yeah.
chat, while there and interesting, I don't think people are actually gravitating it to as a business tool. So totally get it. And maybe I didn't quite get how the Zoom Genesys web chat would work. I understand. I love your web chat, and you guys what you guys do is incredible. So how does the Zoom fit into that?
Yeah, I don't want to pretend to have all the answers here yet.
I don't think it does. I don't even know. I can't even try to think of a way it would.
Yeah, I think it's one of those things that when people hear that we're building an integration with Zoom and other providers, you know, they say, "Oh, what about chat?" And yeah,
Right.
it's certainly something that we want to look at. But there are, like I said, open questions that need to be answered about how.
I mean, I think what I could see there is maybe video chat on the website, and that could be, as you alluded to earlier, a different API or a different integration later down the road.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all data at the end of the day, right? And how we choose to surface and, you know, pass that data back and forth between the platforms still needs to be determined. Video might be easier. I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a saying every time I say how easy or hard something is from a development perspective, I got to put $1 in a jar, and at the end of the year,
I've got the same thing in my office. That should be easy. It's easy, but it takes time. Right? I get it.
Yeah. So, like I said, the future is wide open in terms of the integrations and what we can build. And chat and video certainly come up quite often, though.
And I know everybody talks about their partnership with their partners and at the CEO level and their friend. Maybe you can talk a little bit about just the true relationship Genesys and Zoom has at a corporate level, at a fundamental high level.
Yeah, I'll actually maybe carve out a section for James to touch on that just a little bit more. But what I'll say here is, you know, our CEOs have worked together in the past. So Tony Bates was once CEO of Skype, and Eric Yuan was working at Skype at the time in a leadership position. So not to say that there's, you know, back office things going on, but certainly they know each other well. And I think the goals and alignment organizationally are, you know, at least directionally the same. And obviously, we're very excited to help bring our products more closely together. So, James, you may have something you want to add to that, but we have reseller agreements going into place for our teams so that we can help promote each other's products more effectively, and also bring in our partners and make sure that the sort of hand-holding is going is inclusive for everyone that is involved in the effort.
I wouldn't really add to the relationship. I would just say when we look at a strategic alliance like this, we're, you know, yes, we're thinking about how do we go to market together, how do we integrate, and how do we sell together, but we're also thinking about how do our businesses align from a culture and vision perspective. And I think for this relationship, it certainly starts at the top.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Cool.
So
yep.
Quickly here, I've got a couple more, and then I want to leave it open for any extra questions. So, you know, our goal is to keep your customers close and keep your coworkers even closer, because the closer your coworkers are, the more easily they can solve problems for customers. Genesys Cloud and Zoom make that easier together to break down the barriers that might typically stand in the way of, you know, more traditional deployments and products. And we want to be the first to boost your team's productivity. Ultimately, you can get started with Genesys Cloud, Zoom Phone, and Zoom Meetings today. If you're interested in being a part of a beta, if you're already a Genesys customer, I'd love input. Obviously, you know, please contact Packet Fusion, and we can work together to get you involved in early access for either integration. Before I turn it back over, I did want to note, we talked about Teams a little bit in the beginning, and for everything that I talked about for Zoom Phone and the sort of PBX level integration and ability to transfer voice interactions, we have built the same thing for Microsoft Teams. So if you are interested in Teams as well, we have this similar capability set for Teams. The video stuff isn't quite there yet for Teams, so we're a little ahead of the game with Zoom because Zoom is so well known for video. But certainly our goal here is to enable you as a customer to choose which of these platforms you want to use. You know, we have strong relationships with both companies, but we're not necessarily picking a horse. We're trying to give our customers flexibility and choice. So for what I showed you of Zoom Phone, you can see we've built and we'll continue to build the same type of thing for Teams. And even at the highest level, having, you know, a similar type of architecture diagram for Teams represents, you know, basically we built a PBX level integration at this point that we're looking to expand into other integration types, other interaction types in the future. So With that, happy to answer any other remaining questions.
I was kind of peppering them through the whole thing. We have a couple more minutes here. You know what we had you guys on in February, March, I think it was, and it was about artificial intelligence. Then last year we had one on workforce management. And then, you know, what we're trying to paint is you guys are the platform of the future. And while we didn't even touch on contact center here, right? I mean, like we've just checking the box that you guys are assuming, everybody on this call is assuming Genesys is, you said, to the leader, and of course we're going to take your word for it. But I'd also like maybe one of you guys, or I'll spend some time and kind of touting your own horn about what you guys are doing actually just fundamentally in the contact center, let alone the third-party integrations. What do you think? You want to spend a minute on that? I mean, I love what you guys are doing on your AI and some of your recent acquisitions there. You know, the concept of, as much as we love human capital, our job is to alleviate as many of the calls before they even get to the queue. And with self-help and IVR and AI and all those kind of fun things. If you guys want to riff on that, that'd be great. Or I could throw out another topic.
Yeah, sure. I can spend a minute talking about it. I mean, I think AI, I actually saw something the other day that AI and what was the other term? AI was like one of the terms of the decade, right? And everybody's doing AI. But the reality is that, you know, we're making real investment into AI. Certainly we want to, you know, part of helping get customers the right answers as quickly as possible is, you know, reducing bottlenecks. And that's, I think, mostly what AI is about, as well as providing the right context for the people answering the questions when it does require a human. And, you know, that plays out in a lot of sort of different aspects within the product. One of the things we're rolling out is a digital only offering, so that, you know, we really want to drive this idea that, you know, phones are becoming not antiquated, but certainly a smaller portion of the overall technology suite that both our customers employ, but also the average consumer employs, right? I mean, what does it mean?
The term call center is no longer, it's now contact center, and that's even old. Now it's interaction center, and I think that's even old. And they're calling, now you called it a experience as a service.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I get it. Call center is over. We get it. Keep going.
And even most of it, especially the work that I do, is about helping to bring the call center, contact center, interaction center, whatever the words you want to use, but those people that maybe traditionally operated as a separate business unit and were in some ways disconnected from the rest of the organization, closer to their colleagues who have the same, you know, at acme.com email addresses, right? They have the same logos on their business card, but, and, you know, if you rewind 10, 15, 20 years ago, those people may never interact with they may never actually work with, you know, their colleagues in other parts of the business. And, you know, I think broadly in the industry, you're seeing more of a drive towards, you know, people that might not have traditionally worked with customers in the field being maybe not expected, but asked and ultimately driven more closely to the customers. The typical example that I see, especially around these integrations, is the idea of maybe like a retail worker taking a call or a help request from just a customer out in the wild, right? And that's not a world that we've really seen come to fruition yet, but we're certainly much closer to it today than we've ever been. Even the term, you know, UC or UCC is becoming a little bit dated in my mind. I've kicked around the idea of like business communication, right? Because unified communication and collaboration, you know, this idea of PBX, like they've been around so long that my kids I'll be surprised if they have a phone number, maybe, but yeah, certainly. So I think broadly, you know, the goals of both Genesys and, you know, other cloud collaboration software providers align very closely because it's about ease of communication.
Yeah. And I think, you know, one of my favorite things about you guys is your rapid pace of change and how quickly you guys come out with new features. And, you know, your microservices built on AWS, distributed across the world. You're not maintaining this old code base that the other competitors are, because they all came from a, basically a colo background or a private cloud, if you will, background. And now they're trying to get into the true public cloud kind of arena, and they're all having troubles doing it. They're getting there, but you guys started in the public cloud arena, and that's pays benefits, right? I mean, maybe riff on that for a second.
Yeah, I mean, I think there will always be a slice of customers, that want to control their data, and this hybrid model of public-private may be most appropriate. But for most people and most customers, most businesses out there, the best way to increase efficiency and ultimately reduce costs is to reduce complexity. And we were talking even before the webinar about what's an SBC, right? And we have what we call edges, but they're really just a bunch of services running in AWS. And that's a very different model and paradigm than, again, what you would have seen 15 or 20 years ago with racks of servers installed on customers' premises, right? So yeah, that world's evolving very quickly, and we certainly feel that we're at the forefront of it. Even the connectivity between our platform and Zoom, we did real work with Zoom to make sure that all of our regions were supported. All of our AWS regions around the world were supported when it comes to a customer's, clicking the button that says, connect my SIP trunk, my Genesys Cloud SIP trunk to Zoom, right? But customer won't necessarily see that, but we make it very easy because of the way these products are deployed into the cloud.
Yeah, I love it. We got 2 more minutes. I'm going to ask you one more question on it. When I talk about, or I think about contact centers of the future, or even, the top guys in the Magic Quadrant today, it's all about APIs, right? And open architectures. And I know you guys do that, and security is obviously there too, but let's talk about APIs maybe for a second, and what you guys are doing there and how much you adhere to them and embrace them.
Yeah, I mean, API-driven development is a core part of our overall software development philosophy. I'll plug our development center for those who haven't checked it out, developer.mypurecloud.com. There's a lot of great resources there to go check out and to see what even some of our customers have done, independent of our support, or at least independent of our oversight. If only because we do our best to publish as many APIs as possible, so that the industry can help push both our product, but the real solutions around our product forward, without relying on sort of the heavy hand of the vendor to do all of it on their behalf. And we have some really great integrations and tools that have been created off of those APIs to extend our platform beyond where even we could take it. We can't do everything, right? But for those really niche needs, we've got some pretty cool tools that have been built around our APIs.
I just love the API that you guys adhere to, that allow us as a VAR to integrate into their CRMs and different platforms, and some are off the shelf, but others are web services. And we just it's not this crazy month-long project of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars for this integration like it used to be. It's like, oh, it's some pointers and some integration, and whoa, look, it works. And so it's like, it's beautiful that everybody's getting to this API-driven world, and I'm a big fan of it.
Yeah, I think another thing that I've heard that's relevant to this discussion is sort of the circle around CRM, contact center, and UC platform, right? Those three tools are mission critical to every customer that I've spoken to about this, and they all want to know, how do we make these three tools play more nicely together? And that's really where APIs come into play.
And the Zoom integration. Oh my God, it's all coming together. You got Zoom, you got oh my God, this is incredible. What a way to end it. Hey, you guys are awesome, and we love what you're doing. We're big fans. We're having great success with you guys. Everybody on this call that's still on it, there's still well over 100. Thank you guys for all attending. We'd love for you guys to contact us to learn more about Genesys and Zoom, amongst other cloud providers that we do. So please reach out to me, Matt Pingatore, pingatore@packetfusion.com, or give me a call. You'll get a follow-up email from me with the questions and answers from this, as well as the recording. So thank you guys, and nice work.